Hi, thanks for watching. This is iRacing in the IMSA Sports Car Series at Mid-Ohio. This is the first of 4 races that I have for you because, well, you'll find out why pretty soon. Starting off here, I'm in the 13 car out of about 30. Qualified 11th, which is probably a little slower than I could have, but as long as we keep it safe, I should be able to get those positions back. Through turn 1 so far, pretty safe. This is the mid-pack. This is usually where everything goes wrong, so we're doing okay so far. Going into turn 2, it looks like this BMW ahead's going to go inside of the Ford. I can possibly get a good run on him here going into the back straight. Doesn't look like that's going to happen, but I am going to stay in the slipstream and keep ahead of Andre and the BMW behind. So that was the right-hander turn 3. We're coming up to turn 4. Seems like we're bunching up ahead, a couple BMWs in front of this Ford.
Okay, Trevor, decent start.
A lot of action going up over turn 5 here. There's a lot of lines through this section that you can take, so down through 6. This is where things get really tricky, going up over the S's, and then you have to stop while turning right for turn 9 here, and sometimes that catches people out. And when he first started rolling forward, so I committed to going left, and then he kind of stopped rolling forward. I really couldn't do much else there than keep the car off the track and away from any people that are still in the race at this point. And I do get a meatball there. I safely come into the pits and
Engage the limiter.
serve that meatball. It's going to give me about 11 minutes of repairs with 42 minutes left in the race, so we're going to serve those and get back out.
Clear. Don't cross the white line.
So at this point, we're just riding around for some safety rating. I've started to lap the GT3 field, or at least not lap them, start coming up on them and passing them. This guy in 3rd, I didn't want to disrupt him because I didn't want to ruin his race. He's only 7 seconds behind the guy in 2nd, so I kind of waited patiently behind him for a lap and a half until I could pass him on the back straight or possibly the front straight going into the hairpin.
That lap was a 22.00.
And this here is probably my best opportunity I had to do so. I got a really good run coming out of turn 1 on him, and I think he's inviting me here to go for it, but I still didn't want to ruin his race, so I hesitated and didn't go for it, and decided that I'd get a run out of this turn and onto this straight to pass him now. He defends the inside here, which should have been my first tell that he did not want to give this up, and I try to hold it around turn 4 because turn 5 is a left-hander. I can just pass him there. He kind of acts like I'm not there, door checks me, I spin around, and I end up collecting him into the grass. It didn't really affect either of our races, but that was just, I don't know, either a lack of respect or just forgetting I was there. Either way, we're going to finish this race really low, losing 57 iRating and probably a little bit of safety rating. So I'll have some more of that, please. We're going to go again for round 2. I qualified a little higher here. This is also a lower split now because I lost some iRating. 1.4K strength of field. Qualified 3rd. I'm the number 1 car though, so definitely going to be a lot harder to gain iRating in this race than the last one. Hopefully me and the 2 guys ahead can kind of just fuck off and leave the rest of the group behind. Running wide of the first apex onto turn 2, but hitting the second one, not killing my run, staying onto the back of P2 as good as I can. Looks like we put a big gap to everyone else behind, which is exactly what we want.
Start's okay. Let's get settled in.
BMW ahead getting weirdly aggressive going into 6. Doesn't really work out for him. That really just kills your run coming up through the S's. Into turn 9, we're going to see if we can survive the first lap of the race. The Ford in the lead going a little wide and cutting across. I'm going to use that opportunity to go inside the Ford BMW here, but he's going to cut down a little bit, forcing me super narrow. It's going to kill my run. Now going into the carousel, BMW is going to get right on the back of the Ford, but it seems like he checked up and lost his momentum here coming across the start-finish line. So we no longer have that gap to fourth. Fourth has actually fallen behind. We're now getting caught by the new fourth place. We are about a half a second in front of him. This race is very much now about sticking on to second place and making sure that this doesn't turn into a battle for third, and keeping myself in the battle for first. And that is not going to go well here. That's not a very good run out of turn 2. I'm going to try to stay into the slipstream of the guys ahead. And really close, the gap down to 0.3 of a second at the end of that straight, so we really have to be good through this rhythm section and get right back onto P2, or else we're going to have some defending to do about this time next lap.
Okay, Trevor, hold your nerve, just keep it smooth, no mistakes.
You can see the guy behind here getting really wobbly into 9, and that's going to kill his run. You can watch over the course of this race, coming up here a couple laps later, that he just does not have any pace going through that turn. And for the second race in a row, we're going to be shocked. BMW going sideways through 9. This time we're not going to get collected, and we're going to keep on racing. Coming through the carousel, so we're going to cross the line here in second place. This is lap 4. We're going to skip ahead actually to lap 10 now. The gap is still about a second. Coming through turn 1, I'm starting to get my pace back. I take a little bit too much of this curb on the inside and just eat it. I managed to sort of save the car from spinning all the way around. I didn't save it from getting the 2 incident points. So we're going to rejoin right behind P21 for position. We're right behind P6 on track. We lost about 11 seconds with that whole ordeal, but the only thing you can really do after something like that is put your head down and try to make the time back up. We didn't lose nearly as much time as we did the first race, so as far as I'm concerned, I'm just happy to be here in the top 10. We are going to keep P6 though. You can see this back marker ahead having some trouble. So we're going to skip ahead a little bit again. This is lap 18. We picked up a couple positions. We're up to 4th from 6th. I think it was just a couple retirements in front of us. Not exactly sure. We've also actually caught up to the battle for 2nd. Those 2 Porsches ahead of us are battling currently for 2nd position on track. So P2 is definitely still on for this race. P1 was probably never on because the leader was much quicker than us. And there goes actually P3 spinning off into the barrier at turn 9. That's probably one of the hardest turns in this whole track. It's a double right-hander, but you have to get the car real straight and real stable before you can brake and before you can turn in again for 9. So that's probably the funnest part of this track for me. And the reason why I like it so much is how tough turn 9 is.
Well done, Trevor. This is great. Come on, keep nailing those exits. P3.
We're going to move ahead to the end of that lap. I finally catch up to this Porsche in 2nd place, and we're going to try to put a move on him as soon as we can. We want to get ahead of him so that we can start gapping him before we come in for our pit stop. And this right here is sort of the first problem I have with him. I'm not sure if he brake checks me there or just broke too hard going into turn 2 there, but it totally killed all the momentum I had on him. I could have definitely either gone around the outside or done something there, because he basically stopped right on the first apex of turn 2. Showing my headlights here just to kind of see how he acts under pressure. He sort of seems like the kind of guy that's going to drive with his mirrors, so I just want to see how much I can get him to react. Seems pretty cool so far.
Guys, blue flag means something.
So as you probably just heard, the leader did just go in for his pit stop. Neither me or the Porsche ahead are going to come in, which is going to put the leader out right in between us here. So it's lap 22, there's about 16 minutes left in the race. Here comes P1 after his pit stop, so he's about a full pit stop ahead of us, 22, 25 seconds or so. Really the only battle here is between me and the Porsche ahead for second. The two cars behind are racing for 21st or 20th maybe, they might not even be on the same lap. Now if I'm the guy ahead, I'm going to try to let the leader by, but do it with losing the least amount of time as possible. As to not slow down himself or the leader and let me catch up. We skipped ahead actually the next lap, so this has been a full lap of him holding up the leader here. The leader's starting to get impatient. The two back markers behind me are starting to get impatient. We are starting to get caught by P4 now, who's only 3.5 seconds behind. So things are really starting to choke up here. He took a weird line or something that confused the leader through turn 11. Coming through the carousel here, he's going to overshoot the apex and get really loose onto the final turn. Bring that into the leader, bring it back into me. Basically just couldn't accept that he was going to lose some positions, so he tried to save it and ruin a couple other guys' races instead. So we're going to keep going. Oh, no, we're not. So we're going to safely pull into the pits again and serve this meatball that we've been dealt one more time. Required repairs, 9 minutes left in the race, and there's 11 minutes of repairs. So that's going to be the end of that one for us. So we're going to lose some more safety rating, some more I rating. We're going to compliment our fellow sim racing buddies, and we're going to get out of there. And you betcha we're going to be coming back right for more. Third race in a row here. Slightly higher strength of field here, number 6 car. I qualified 6th, so we're going to just try to get a nice start and stay away from any other vehicles on track as much as possible. And we're going to get another relatively clean start out of turn 1 behind this Hot Wheels Porsche. Not going to push it too much. We got a cushion to the guy behind, so we're just going to go through turn 2 here. Nice and easy. He's just going to completely shoot it too wide. I'm going to let him keep what he has. I'm also going to kill my run doing that and let the BMW behind get right up my inside. Last second, he does get the car there, so I have to give him the space. I try to keep the outside line down through turn 4, but I just kind of forget where I am completely. Just try to make sure to rejoin as safe as I can here. Off the racing line on the inside. I don't lose a whole lot of places here, maybe 6 or 7, but that is because it's the beginning of the race. It's kind of the worst time to go off track. And we're going to end up right behind the BMW from the first race, if you remember him. Got him and the car ahead going pretty slow up through turn 11. Coming into the carousel, we're going to see how good of a run we can get over the start-finish straight. Doesn't look like very much.
P12.
So we lost 6 positions on lap 1. We're going to get a couple of those back on lap 2. This is the end of lap 3. We're going to come up on some slow car here who's just does not care where he is or who's around him. Is going to take us out. So for the third race in a row, we are working from behind with some damage, but it doesn't look like enough to actually... Oh, never mind. So we have another meatball. We are going to have to come in and serve that. I'm going to rejoin right on the racing line intelligently. And that's going to give us another meatball. At this point, I'm kind of just living a waking nightmare. This is my third race in a row with literally 0 result to show. But what can you do but just hop right back on that horse? So we're going to give it one more shot here at Mid-Ohio. Like I said, I'd like this track, and I really want to keep liking this track, so we're gonna go one more time. So we qualified first this time. This is really the only surefire way to make sure that no one wrecks in front of you on the first couple laps, is to just put yourself in front, in the very front. So I'll give you guys the fancy TV camera here for the first lap or so of my awesome pole position race. We're gonna see if we can't keep pole position throughout the first lap and maybe throughout the whole race. The guy that lined up second went way ahead of me and had to check up, so I'm gonna get an amazing start coming into turn 1 here. So far so good, running a little wide on exit there. You're going to see how much carnage is coming out of turn... Oh my gosh, yep, so there's the carnage coming out of turn 2. That is what you avoid by qualifying high. So coming up to the end of the back straight here, we still have a pretty good margin of 0.7 of a second, which is going to balloon out. Something bad is going to happen to the guy behind because he had a very terrible turn 4. The gap's now up to 1.5 seconds. So we're looking really good here to keep this position, at least for now. And yeah, coming to the end of lap 1, the gap's still about 1.5 seconds, so things are looking really good. We're going to skip ahead to lap 10. We are starting to come across the GT3 field. This first wave of traffic is going to be very crucial because he can use this to catch up to me. I'm going to have to get through these back markers as fast as I can so that he can't use them as a way to close the gap. So far so good, coming through this first wave of GT3s. We're coming up on the battle for second now, so this is going to be a group that is not going to be very cooperative letting us by. So I'm going to have to slice and dice my way through here if I want to keep this gap that I have. I don't really even have much of a gap at this point. He's done a really good job to stay on my ass. I'm going to go around the outside of this gray AMG. He's going to let me go. Not going to slow me down much, but it could possibly slow down the guy behind. I'm going to get a run on this red AMG going down Thunder Valley. I'm going to put it up the inside of him because I really need to pass him on turn 11 here. He's going to let me go through the carousel. The guy behind, if you look, is going to try to shoot it in on him, and it's not going to work. They're going to get tied up. That's exactly what I wanted. Well, I didn't want them to crash, obviously, and I don't think they do end up wrecking, but there is a bit of contact. I'm going to get around the outside of this AMG as he got loose out of the last corner. That's going to put us ahead of all but one GT3 car. But more importantly, it put about a second, a little over a second on the guy behind us. And he still has a GT3 to overtake. So after that lap, it's a very good lap of traffic. This is still the same lap, just the end of it. The gap is now 3 seconds to the guy behind in second place. He's going to lose it going through the carousel. I think he had some damage from that collision with the back marker, or the GT3. So that's pretty much going to put us too far ahead for anyone to catch, barring a mistake from us, which we don't make. I was not going to ruin any more races on this day. We finally get a good result, and of course, after all that pain, we get a really good result. So this is going to be the final lap of the race. We're going to come through and take the checkered flag in P1. That's probably the ugliest and most roundabout way to say that I won, but yeah, I finally got a race win. I don't know if I've gotten a race win at Mid-Ohio before. I might have in GT3 cars, but yeah, it feels really good. I really do love this track. Thanks so much for watching if you did. I'm going to try to put more videos up, maybe a little more regularly, and try to do some streaming, but let me know if you like the video in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.